Welcome to the UpNext AI podcast. It's Monday, July 20th, 2026, and here's what matters in AI today. Our lead today is Moonshot AI and the latest wave around Kimi. TechCrunch reports that Chinese company Moonshot AI released a new version of its Kimi model this week, and that release is already setting off a much bigger argument about Chinese open models, U.S. competitiveness, and whether policymakers will try to make those models harder to use in regulated industries. According to Moonshot's own announcement, Kimi K3 still trails the most powerful proprietary models, specifically Claude Fable 5 and GPT 5.6 Sol, but the company says it showed frontier-level performance across its evaluation suite and outperformed other tested models. TechCrunch also says independent analyses from Arena.ai and Val's AI suggested Kimi is competitive with flagship frontier models. The bigger story is what happened next. TechCrunch says the release coincided with a speech by Xi Jinping at the World AI Conference in Shanghai, and that the Nasdaq fell about 1% on Friday, as investors sold off chip stocks including Nvidia. The conversation quickly spilled into U.S. policy and geopolitics, with public arguments over distillation, open weight strategy, and whether Chinese models could become deeply embedded in enterprise use. One quote getting attention came from OpenAI's head of strategic futures, Dean Ball, who called Kimi a very good model and said its performance probably cannot be explained away by distillation alone. So the takeaway is this: Kimi is not just a model launch. It is turning into a referendum on whether the frontier is compressing faster than U.S. labs and investors expected, and whether policy now becomes part of the product story. Next, a very different kind of AI story. A new licensing framework aimed at AI training on open web material. The document is titled Unearth Heritage Foundry Master Ledger, Canonical Licensing Architecture and Fee Schedule, version 5.4.0, and it was published July 19th. Based on the paper text, it lays out a legal and technical framework for how AI operators are supposed to engage with the Foundry's digital estate. The core mechanism is a binary governance model. Operators that use what the document calls the WebMCP handshake protocol are treated as authorized licensees under CC BY 4.0 terms. Operators that bypass that handshake are instead classified under what the document calls a bad faith inhabitation framework, which then triggers a separate licensing fee schedule and heightened penalties. The paper also lays out doctrines arguing that machine unlearning cannot fully remove contamination from trained weights, and that deleting temporary caches does not fix a training violation at the parameter level. This is best understood as a published framework and strategic proposal, not settled industry practice. But it matters because it shows one path content owners may try as the fight over scraping, licensing, and AI training moves toward machine-readable rules. For the research section, a paper published just before today's show asks a very practical question. Can machine learning take over a tedious scientific scoring task? The manuscript is titled Model Evaluation for Automated Scoring of Electropenetrography Waveform Data from Mosquitoes. Electropenetrography, or EPG, is a way to record feeding-related electrical signal patterns from insects. The paper says manually labeling those waveforms is subjective, labor-intensive, and time-consuming. The researchers compared several common machine learning methods on a representative dataset of Culex tarsalis mosquito waveforms. According to the manuscript, the top-performing system was a neural network based on a U-net architecture with attention layers. It reached an overall accuracy of 86% and a macro F1 score of 0.78. The paper also says this is, to the author's knowledge, the first attempt to apply machine learning to waveform identification for a blood-feeding arthropod rather than a plant-feeding one, and that earlier approaches did not transfer well. Bottom line, this is a good example of AI doing real scientific labor by helping automate a narrow, repetitive expert task that used to eat up human time. Are you building apps with voice? Elevate your app's voice capabilities with 11 Labs. Their API is a game changer for embedding dynamic, responsive voice interactions in your applications, providing unprecedented realism, flexibility, and latency. In fact, you're listening to one of their voices right now. If you are a developer looking to elevate user experience with natural voice interfaces, this is your solution. Visit upnext.fm/11 to check out their latest offerings. The Verge reports that China's AI pressure is not limited to Moonshot alone. It says Moonshot and Alibaba unveiled models they claim can compete with top systems from OpenAI and Anthropic at a fraction of the cost. With the limited text provided, those remain company claims rather than independently verified benchmarks, but it reinforces the idea that the China competition story is widening. Reuters reports Apple overtook NVIDIA on Friday to become the world's most valuable company, reshuffling the top ranks of tech heavyweights as investors reassessed AI bets. Simon Willison also highlighted a newly surfaced Sam Altman email from October 1st, 2022. In that email, Altman says OpenAI had been discussing open source strategy and wanted to create a language model with approximate GPT-3 capability that could run locally on consumer hardware and be released soon. OpenAI, meanwhile, published what it calls a scorecard for the AI age. In the company post, CFO Sarah Fryer says AI ROI should be measured through useful work, cost per successful task, dependability, and return on compute. That is OpenAI's framing, not a neutral market standard, but it is a clear signal about how the company wants enterprise buyers to measure value. And one product note from Anthropic. Beginning July 20th, Claude Fable 5 will be included in all Max and Team premium plans at 50% of limits. Simon Willison's write-up says, Pro and Team Standard users will continue to get access through usage credits, and those users will receive a one-time $100 credit. Before we wrap up, a quick note. This podcast is generated with the assistance of AI and is intended for informational purposes only. All referenced articles, research, and commentary remain the property of their original authors and publishers. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave us a review, and that's your briefing for today. Full source links are in the episode notes, and we'll be back tomorrow with what's up next.